Hello friends, let us continue with the same topic, Introduction to Partnership and Partnership Final Accounts. Today I am going to teach you the adjustments of final accounts. As I told you earlier, what is given in the problem? We are given trial balance and adjustments. What are the adjustments? Adjustments are the additional information which needs to be recorded in the books of account. If we are not recording the adjustment, then our profit and loss account will not give the true position of will not give the true profit, and at the same time the balance sheet will not give the true position of our assets and liabilities. Now, how these transactions are incorporated in the books of account? For each and every transaction, we are supposed to pass journal entries because these are the adjustments which are not recorded. So we are supposed to pass the journal entry for that, and whenever we are passing journal entry, we are giving two effects. One is the debit effect and one is the credit effect. This debit effect and credit effect we are supposed to transfer either to the trading account, to the profit and loss account, or to the balance sheet. So now let us continue and we'll see our first adjustment. The first adjustment is closing stock to be valued at cost or market price, whichever is lower. What is closing stock? Closing stock means unsold goods at the end of the year. Now these unsold goods are valued physically, and then whatever is the value of that particular goods, that is brought into the books of account by way of adjustment, and that adjustment is known as closing stock. Now we are told that closing stock is to be valued at cost or market price, whichever is lower. Now this is as per the concept of conservatism. According to this concept, all possible losses are expected, that is assumed, but all possible profits cannot be expected, means cannot be assumed. I will give you one example. If the value of the closing stock at cost price is rupees 10,000 and its market price is 15,000, then we are supposed to record 10,000 in the books of account, which is a lower value. Why we cannot record 15,000? Because according to the concept of conservatism, we cannot assume profit. Unless we are selling the goods, we cannot make the profit. So now instead of 15,000, we are supposed to record the goods at 10,000 only. Now another example. Suppose now the value of the goods is 10,000, the cost value, and its market price is 8,000. We are supposed to write 8,000 in the books of account. Why we are supposed to write 8,000? Because according to the concept of conservatism, all possible losses can be assumed. So here we are assuming that now the value of the goods is 8,000 in the market. That is why the value of the closing stock that we are supposed to record is 8,000. So that is clear now that the closing stock is valued at cost or market price, whichever is lower. Now what entry we are passing in the books of account? We are passing this entry, closing stock being an asset, it is to be debited. So stock account debit. So what is the name of that stock? Closing stock account debit to trading account. Now we are writing in the trading account on the credit side, because I explained to you in trading account we are using the formula of gross profit cost minus sales minus cost of goods sold, and one of the ingredient of the cost of goods sold is closing stock. So closing stock is brought into the books of account. It is recorded on the credit side. So we are passing this entry, closing stock account debit to trading account. That is, now closing stock being an asset, it is recorded on the asset side of the balance sheet, and the second effect we are doing trading account credit side. Now we will see the second adjustment. The second adjustment is outstanding expenses. What do we mean by outstanding expenses? Expenses means we have enjoyed the services and for that we are supposed to make the payment. So whenever we take the service is in and cash is out. But whenever we take the service but still we have not paid the cash, then that service, that amount which is payable is known as the outstanding expense. So the journal entry is expense is normally debited. Now we have not recorded the expense which is outstanding. So again we are debiting the expense. So our journal entry is expense account debit to outstanding expense account. Now whatever is outstanding, now suppose wages is outstanding, so add to the wages. If salary is outstanding, add to the salaries. So if the item belongs to the trading account, it will be added in the trading account. If the item belongs to the profit and loss account, it will be added in the profit and loss account. So we are going to add to the particular expense. And second thing is the amount for which we have enjoyed the service is still payable. So it is a type of liability for us. So it is shown on the liability side. Now our third adjustment we will see is prepaid expenses. Same as outstanding expenses, sometimes we are paying in advance. I will give you the example of insurance. Normally, insurance is always prepaid. We have to make the payment of insurance premium in advance. Then only the insurance company is giving us the policy. Now we have paid the insurance and there is a year end. Now some benefit is enjoyed in the current year and some benefit is enjoyed in the next year. So whatever benefit is enjoyed in the next year, that is known as a prepaid expense. So we have paid the expense but we have not received the services. So prepaid expense is our asset. We have not got the services. Our amount is with that particular person. So prepaid is our asset. So prepaid expense account debit which appears in the balance sheet on the asset side. An expense account is credited. We are going to subtract from the expense account because it is not related to the current period. So we have to subtract. So less from the expense. So if it is the insurance, we have to subtract from the insurance. Our next adjustment, same like expense, we have an income. Income receivable means outstanding income. We have already earned the income, but we have not received. So when we have earned and we have not received, then it is our asset. So income receivable is our asset. So our entry is income receivable account debit to income account. Why we are crediting income? Because income account shows credit balance. Again we are crediting. So we are going to add to the income and we are showing on the asset side of the balance sheet. This is add. Sorry, this is add. Add to income. So it is added to income and income receivable is asset which is shown on the asset side of the balance sheet. Next adjustment, income received in advance. This time we have not given the services but we have taken advance from the party. For example, we are receiving rent in advance. So that time what we are supposed to do? Income received in advance is a liability for us. So we are writing on the liability side, credit side. So income is debited and income received in advance is credited. Now income being a credit balance and here income being a debit balance, we have to subtract from the income. So less from income. And income received in advance is a liability. So we are going to show on the liability side of the balance sheet. So these are the 4 adjustments related to expenses and incomes. outstanding expense, prepaid expense, outstanding income, pre-received income. Okay, so these are the 4 adjustments related to the income and expense. And the first one is closing stock. Now we move to the adjustment number 6, depreciation on fixed asset. Now what are the fixed assets? Fixed assets are those assets which we are using in the business for a longer period. And these assets are depreciated because of the wear and tear, because of the use in the business. That is why there is a need to depreciate them. So at the end of the year, we are reducing the balance of that particular asset, which is known as a depreciation. So what entry we are passing? Depreciation account debit. So depreciation being lost to the business, it is debited to profit and loss account debit side. An asset is having a debit balance, but here we are crediting the asset. So we are subtracting from the asset, so less from asset to asset account. Now, adjustment number 7 is about the interest on capital. What is interest on capital? Interest on capital is the interest which is payable to the partners on their investment. Interest on capital is an expense of the business, so it is to be debited. So interest on capital account debit and partners capital or current account are credited, because this is, whenever we are giving the interest on capital, we have to just pass the entry. We are not giving in cash. So these are all book adjustments. So we are crediting partners capital or current account. So what are the effects? Interest on capital appears on the debit side of profit and loss account, and the second effect is capital account or current account on the credit side. Now our next adjustment is interest on drawings. Same as interest on capital, we are charging interest on drawings. What are the drawings? Drawings is the amount withdrawn by the partners from time to time. So on this amount, we are going to charge depreciation. So we are going to charge interest. So interest is income for the firm. So interest account is credited. Interest on drawing account is credited. And what is debited? Partners capital or current account is debited, because the balance of the partners capital or current account is going to reduce. And that is why the effects are capital or current account debit side, and the second effect is profit and loss account credit side, because credit side is recording income. Our next adjustment number 9, interest on loan of partners. By explaining the rules in the absence of partnership deed, we saw one rule, that 6% interest is payable on the loan provided by the partners. So if we find any item in the trial balance which is partner's loan, the loan given by the partner, then we are supposed to give 6% interest per annum to the partner. For that we will do the calculation, and then we are going to pass the entries. How we are passing the entries? Interest on loan of partner is an expense of the business. So interest on loan of partners account debit. Here it is interest on capital account debit. So that's the difference. This is the interest on capital. This is the interest on loan of partners. So interest on loan of partner account is debited, and partners capital or current account is credited. We are giving the second effect to the partners capital account or current account. That is, capital and current account is credited. So the balance of the capital or current account will increase on the credit side, and this will be recorded as an expense on the debit side of profit and loss account. Okay. Now we'll continue with adjustment number 10, salaries or commission due to partners. So as discussed earlier, sometimes salary is payable to the partner, commission is payable to the partner. For that we have to pass an entry. Salaries or commission is an expense of the business. So salaries or commission to partners is debited, and partner's capital or current account is credited. Now, salary to partner or commission to partner is debited to profit and loss account. We are recording in the debit side of profit and loss account, and the second effect is capital or current account is credited. So the last four adjustments, interest on capital, interest on drawings, interest on partner's loan, and salary or commission to partner, these four adjustments are related to partner. Now our next adjustments, three adjustments are related to goods. Adjustment number 11, adjustment number 12, and adjustment number 13. Here there is an outflow of goods. Goods distributed as a free sample, so goods are out. Goods taken by partner, so goods are out. And goods destroyed by fire, so again there is an outflow of goods. So there is one effect on the credit side of trading account and the other effects at different places. So let us see now goods distributed as free samples. So now whenever the goods are distributed as a free sample, what journal entry we are passing? Advertisement account debit. Because giving goods as a free sample, we are not selling, but we are giving for advertisement purpose. So what benefit we are receiving? That particular benefit is known as an advertisement. So advertisement account debit to trading account. Because there is an outflow of goods, trading account is credited and profit and loss account is debited. Now adjustment number 12, goods withdrawn by partner for personal use. Now in this case, again the partners may take away goods for their home consumption, for their personal use. So there is an outflow of goods. So we are crediting the trading account. So trading account is credited and we are debiting partners capital or current account. So we can write partners drawing account debit. So where we are giving the effect? We are giving the effect on the capital account or current account debit side because it is reducing the capital of the partner. Then adjustment number 13, goods destroyed by fire and insurance company admitted part of the claim. In this adjustment there are three effects. One is goods are lost, so trading account is credited. In return, what we are receiving? Loss by fire. And part of the amount is received from the insurance company as a claim. So we are passing a journal entry. Loss by fire account debit. Whatever amount is not received from the insurance company, that part is known as loss by fire, which is recorded on the debit side of profit and loss account. Whatever claim is admitted, because insurance company may not admit full amount as a claim. So insurance company may admit part of the amount as a claim. So whatever amount is admitted by the insurance company, that is debited. So insurance claim account is debited. They have just admitted the claim. They have not paid cash to us. So whatever amount is due from the insurance company, that is our asset. So we are recording on the asset side of the balance sheet. And the total amount which is destroyed by fire, we are showing on the credit side of trading account. Okay. So trading account is credited. Now in all these cases, like good distributed as a free sample, credit side of trading account, we are writing buy free samples or buy goods distributed as a free samples. In case of goods withdrawn by partners, on the credit side, we can write buy drawings of goods. In case of goods destroyed by fire, in the trading account, we are recording on the credit side buy goods destroyed by fire account. So these are the various names that we are using while recording the entries in the trading account. Now we are having adjustment number 14 and adjustment number 15. They are a type of a rectification. What type of rectification? They are the error of omission. There is an unrecorded sales and there is an unrecorded purchase. Again, we are supposed to assume that unrecorded sales means it is always credit sales, and that is why we have forgotten to record in the books of account. And unrecorded purchase is again credit purchase, and that is why we have forgotten to record in the books of account. So entry for unrecorded sales is goods are out, we have not recorded, so sales account is credited as usual. And the amount is receivable from the debtors. So debtors account debit to sales account. So the amount of the debtors will increase and the amount of sales will also increase. So we are adding to the debtors and we are adding to the sales. At the same time, unrecorded purchase account is debited because we have not recorded. So again we are recording, and creditors account is credited. So again we are increasing the creditors. So both purchases and creditors are added. So add to purchase and add to creditors. The adjustment number 16 and adjustment number 17, they are related with topic bills of exchange. So you should have a knowledge of the topic bills of exchange, then your understanding will be more better. Now, bill receivable dishonored included in the bills receivable. That type of adjustment will be given to us. That dishonored bill is included in bill receivable. Okay? So that time what we will do, when the bill is dishonored, it has a no value. So again we have to receive the amount from the debtors, and bill receivable has no value. So what entry we are passing? Debtors account debit. So our debtors are increasing because that document which is known as a bills of exchange has no value because it is dishonored. So our debtors will increase, so debtors are debited, so we are adding to the debtors. And we are subtracting from the bill receivable because there are so many bills and we are given the total of all the bills. So from that total we are going to subtract that particular bill which is dishonored. So bill receivable account is credited, so we are subtracting from bill receivable. Both these items are on the asset side. So there one is added and one is subtracted. Same way, bills payable dishonored, or we can say bills payable included dishonored bill. Here it is opposite to bill receivable. We have given acceptance to the creditors that we are going to pay, but we have not paid on due date, and that is why that bill has no value. So the creditors will again become creditors. So we are crediting the creditors and we are adding to the creditors, and we are subtracting from the bills payable. Bills payable is a liability, that much liability is reduced and the liability in case of creditor is increased. Both the items are appearing on the liability side of the balance sheet. So one is added and one is subtracted. So adjustment number 17. Now we'll see adjustment number 18, adjustment number 19 and adjustment number 20 and adjustment 21. These four adjustments are related to rectification of errors. Here the accountant is not understanding the difference between the capital expense and revenue expense, and that is why these errors are taking place. So let us see one by one. The 18th adjustment is wages paid for erection of machinery included in wages. Now here wages paid for erection of machinery is a capital expenditure, but our accountant is thinking that it is a revenue expenditure and is including in the wages. So what journal entry we are supposed to pass? We are supposed to deduct the amount from the wages. So wages we are crediting and we are supposed to add the amount to machinery. So machinery account is debited and wages account is credited. So what we are doing? Add to the machinery and less from the wages. Adjustment number 19. Traveling expense included personal traveling of partner. Now here the accountant is making an error that whatever traveling expense included, the traveling expense included personal traveling of partner. The personal traveling of a partner is a drawing of the partner, but by mistake it is added to the traveling expense, and which is an expense of the business. So that amount is to be reduced and it is charged to the partners. So we are passing the entry partners capital or current account debit to traveling expense accounts. We are crediting traveling expense account, which we are reducing from the traveling expenses. So less from traveling expense. and we are showing on the debit side of partner's capital or current account. Now number 20, electricity included deposit paid to electric board. Now here whenever we are receiving the electric bill, electricity is a revenue expenditure, but sometimes the electricity company is asking for the deposit and that amount is included in the bill. By mistake our accountant is debiting the total amount to electricity account. So what we are supposed to do, whatever is the amount of the deposit that we are going to subtract from the electricity charges, that is why electricity account is credited. And what is debited? We are opening a new account, deposit to electric board account debit, and deposit with the electric board is an asset which is shown on the asset side of the balance sheet, and from electricity we are deducting the amount from the electricity. Now adjustment number 21, repairs to building included in billing. Now normally whenever we are buying the building, it is a capital expenditure. Whenever we are repairing the building, it is a revenue expenditure. So whenever repairing is done, it is not added to the building. But by mistake, our accountant is adding this amount to the building. So we are supposed to subtract from the building and we are supposed to open a new account which is known as a repairs to building account. So repairs to building is a normal expenditure. It is charged to the profit and loss account. So our journal entry is repairs to building account debit, profit and loss account debit side to building account. So we are subtracting the amount from building. So these are the 4 entries which are related with rectification of errors in which the difference between the capital and revenue is not understood. Now we'll see adjustment number 12. Here I am not giving the entries, I am giving the formula, and it is a combination of 2 adjustments. One adjustment is provide for further bad debts, provide for bad debts, and second adjustment is create reserve for bad debts, or we can say create reserve for doubtful debts, or we can say reserve for bad and doubtful debts. All the names are one and same. Now in profit and loss account on debit side, we are having first bad debts as per the trial balance. So whatever is the amount given for bad debts in the trial balance, first we are posting it on the debit side of profit and loss account, and in that whatever amount is given over here that provide for a new bad debts, that amount we are adding to the bad debts. So our bad debts are now increasing. What do you mean by new bad debts? New bad debts are those debts which are not recorded in the books of account, but it is a bad debts. So because it is not recorded, now we are recording. So we are adding to the we are adding to the bad debts at one place, and we are subtracting from the debtors because the amount of the debtors will come down. So we are doing 2 effects. Provide for new bad debts. Effect number 1 is add to the bad debts, and what we are going to write? Add new bad debts. So our bad debts, our loss will go on increasing, and we are subtracting from the debtors new bad debts. So our debtors will come down. Okay. And the another adjustment is reserve for bad debts. We are told to create reserve for bad debts. Now what is reserve for bad debts? Reserve for bad debt is an assumption in which we are assuming that in future some debtors will not pay, and that is why we have to make provision right now. That is called reserve for bad debts. Now if suppose we are told to provide reserve at a 5%, 10%, whatever may be the case on the debtors. Now after subtracting the new bad debts, whatever figure is available, on that figure we are going to calculate reserve for bad debts. So we are going to calculate the reserve and then we are going to subtract. So it is known as a new reserve for doubtful debts, new RDD as per adjustment. So this amount is calculated on the net debtors and it is subtracted and casted to the outer column. Second effect of this we are doing again in the profit and loss account debit side. Whatever loss was there, in that again we are assuming further loss. this is the bad debt is a loss which is already confirmed before preparing the trial balance. New bad debt is a loss which was not confirmed, but now after preparing the trial balance we got the information and now we are writing the bad debts. And reserve for bad debts, new reserve for bad debts, or you can say new RDD, is the assumption that we are making that there will be further loss in future. That in future, that is in next year, some of the debtors will not pay. And we made the sales in the current year. We are earning profit in the current year. But loss takes place in the next year. That is why, as per the rules of the account, we are trying to adjust the loss in the current year only. Okay, that is the reserve for doubtful debts. So we are having two adjustments, new bad debts and RDD. So new bad debts number 1, new bad debts number 2. These are the two effects. RDD effect number 1, effect number 2. So 2 adjustments, 4 effects we have done. Initially bad debts will get from the trial balance. So debtors also will get from the trial balance. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 items. 4 from the adjustments and 2 from the trial balance. And there is one more item appearing in the trial balance on the credit side. That is the reserve. As we are providing the reserve this year, same way in the previous year they might have provided the reserve and that reserve is unused. So whatever is unused reserve that appears on the credit side of the trial balance, that we are going to subtract from the total of bad debts and RDD. So old RDD, we are seeing it as an old RDD. Old RDD means from trial balance. And whatever figure is arrived, that figure is casted to the outer column. And here also, whatever figure is arrived, that figure is casted to the outer column. So this is about the formula for new bad debts and reserve for bad debts. Now we'll see adjustment number 23 and adjustment number 24. These both the adjustments are related to discount. Which discount? Cash discount. So cash discount we are recording in the books of account. So discount allowed and discount received. When we are allowing the discount, whenever the debtors are paying early, we are giving discount to them, and that is our loss, that is our expense. So it is debited to profit and loss account. So discount allowed is debited to profit and loss account, and discount received is an income. Sometimes we are making early payment to our creditors. So the creditors are giving discount to us. So that is our income. So discount received we are showing on the credit side of profit and loss account. Now as we saw the formula for bad debts, same way the formula for discount allowed and discount received are also working in the same way. Now here adjustment 23, discount allowed as per trial balance. So we are going to write on the debit side of profit and loss account. And sundry debtors we are going to write as per the balance sheet on the asset side. Debtors as per the trial balance we are writing on the asset side. So these are the items which are given in the trial balance. Now here also we have two adjustments. One is discount allowed. No, we are having only one adjustment, not two adjustment, because here we are not having any, just like a new bad debts, we don't have any new discount allowed or new discount received. Okay, so we are having two effects. Reserve for discount on debtors. So reserve for discount on debtors, as we were doing the effect for formula for the bad debts, here we will add new reserve for discount on debtors. And we are going to subtract this amount, new reserve for discount on debtors. This is the last item over here. I will repeat. Discount allowed is given in the trial balance. And reserve for discount on debtors, just like the bad debts, reserve for bad debts. We are supposed to calculate this amount after doing all the adjustments. Which are the adjustments? New bad debts that we have done in the last formula. New RDD that also we have done in the last formula. And after that, whatever is the amount of the debtors on this amount, we are calculating this RFDD, reserve for discount on debtors. So the calculation for reserve for discount on debtor, that is this reserve for discount on debtors, is where is based on the figure of the net debtors. So we are subtracting the reserve for discount on debtors and we are adding it as a loss. So from these two loss, once again, just like reserve for old reserve for bad debts, here also we are having old reserve for discount on debtors. Okay, that we are going to subtract it as a credit balance. It may be there on the credit side of the trial balance, and that we are subtracting, and the final figure we are placing to the outer column. Okay, so there are two effects for the adjustment. Which are the two effects? Reserve for discount on debtors. This is the one effect, and new reserve for discount on debtors. This is the another effect. Two are coming from the adjustment, and one is from trial balance. Again, old reserve for doubtful debts. So this is from the trial balance. Okay, and discount allowed as usual from the trial balance. Debtors as usual from the trial balance, and these are the adjustments that we should do before we do the adjustment of reserve for discount on debtors. So it's a long formula you have to remember. Okay. Now we'll see the adjustment for discount received. Now discount received as per the trial balance is given to us. So on the credit side of profit and loss account, we are writing the discount received. We are also given creditors as per the trial balance. So we are showing it on the liability side into the inner column. Now same like the reserve for bad debts, reserve for discount on debtors, we are having reserve for discount on creditors. So we are giving name reserve for discount on creditors, RFDC. And again it is a new, so we are using the word new because we are given the adjustment. So reserve for discount on creditors. From where I am going to calculate? I am going to calculate on the creditors, the net figure. Whatever other adjustments are there, like unrecorded purchase and all that, that you should do first. And then whatever figure is available on that figure, we will calculate new reserve for discount on creditors. We will do the calculation. We are going to subtract from the creditors. Same way, it will be added to the discount received. So how many effects? Two from the trial balance, two on account of the adjustment. And again, just like old RDD, which is a credit balance, so we are subtracting. Then we are having old RFDD, which is also a credit balance, that we are subtracting here on the debit side. We are having old RFDC in the trial balance, not on the credit side. This is the only reserve which has a debit balance. It will be in the debit column. So this is the only reserve which has a debit balance. So old RFDC as per the trial balance we are recording, and whatever is the outcome that we are recording to the outer column, and here creditors also, whatever is the outcome we are recording in the credit column. Now we will see secret adjustments, which are also known as hidden adjustments. What are the secret adjustments? These adjustments are not given as a footnote, but they are existing in the trial balance itself. We will see some of the secret adjustments. Let us see number one. If in a trial balance we are given the item rent, in bracket we are given 11 months, and the amount on the debit side is 11,000. The meaning of this is rent for 11 months is paid, and rent for 1 month is still outstanding, because in a year there are 12 months. We have paid rent for 11 months. So naturally 1 month's rent is outstanding. So we have to calculate 11,000 divided by 11. So per month the rent is 1,000. So our conclusion is there is outstanding rent for 1 month rupees 1,000. So we are doing the normal adjustments, normal effects. First we are going to add to the rent on the debit side of profit and loss account rupees 1,000, and second we are showing it as a liability on the liability side of the balance sheet. Now let us see the second secret adjustment. Suppose in the trial balance we are given 10% loan taken on 1/10/2019. They have given this in a bracket that this loan was taken on this date, and we are assuming that the year end is March 2020, and the amount given to us is 10,000. Now, in the current year, the date given is 1st of October. So from October to 31st March, there is a period of 6 months. So interest on loan for the 6 months is payable. So our conclusion is interest payable on loan for 6 months. How we are calculating the amount? 10% of 10,000 is 1,000. So for 6 months it is 500. So this amount is payable. So again we have a normal effects. Profit and loss account, debit side, we are showing interest on loan. And second effect, we are adding to the loan on the liability side of the balance sheet. Now our third secret adjustment is 10% government bond. Face value rupees 50,000 and the amount in the trial balance is 48,000. This is given on the debit side. 48,000 is given in the debit column as an amount. In bracket we are given the information that the face value is 50,000. It means there is an investment with the government, and this investment will carry 10% return on the face value, and the face value is 50,000. So whenever we bought the bond, we are given the bond for 50,000, and government is going to give us interest on 50,000. So we are going to calculate interest on 50,000 at the rate of 10% is 5,000. Okay, it is 12%. Sorry, this is a 12%. The rate of return which the government is going to give us is 12%. So at the rate of 12% on 50,000, we are not given any date. It means full year's interest is receivable on 50,000 at the rate of 12%, which is equal to 6,000. So our conclusion is interest receivable on bond for 12 months rupees 6,000. Now which are the two effects? Profit and loss account, credit side. Profit and loss account, credit side, whatever interest is receivable, which is our income. So by interest on bond, profit and loss account, credit side we are going to write rupees 6,000, and in the balance sheet on the asset side we will write separate item interest receivable on bond. Okay, so these are the two effects. Our next adjustment is advertisement, rupees 40,000. In bracket they are given 4 years. It means this advertisement is going to last for 4 years. The benefit of this advertisement is 40,000. So out of 40,000, 1 year's benefit is 10,000. So 3 years advertisement is prepaid. So it is a deferred revenue expenditure. What is a deferred revenue expenditure? We have paid the amount in the current year, but the benefit of this will be enjoyed in the next years to come. So 30,000 is paid in advance. That is known as the prepaid. So we have a normal effects. We are going to deduct 30,000 from the advertisement on the debit side of profit and loss account, and 30,000 we are going to show on the asset side as prepaid advertisement. Our next adjustment is insurance premium rupees 12,000 paid for year ending 30th June 2020. Now here also we are assuming that our year end is 31st March 2020. We have paid the insurance premium is for 12 months. Amount is 12,000. Paid for year ending. Year ending is for 12 months. Okay. So we have paid insurance premium for 12 months. Now when the year will end? On 30th June. And our year of the accounting year ends on 31st March. So April, May and June. So we have paid insurance premium in advance for 3 months. So 12,000 for 12 months. So for 3 months, 3,000. So prepaid insurance for 3 months is equal to 3,000, and we have a normal effects less from the insurance because it is a prepaid insurance, and second effect on the balance sheet asset side we will show prepaid insurance. Friends, now these are the adjustments. I have tried my best to cover all the adjustments. We have to learn these adjustments. If you are not able to learn the adjustment with entries, at least you can remember the effects of all the adjustments, and accordingly you can solve the problem. Okay, thank you.